All right, welcome everybody to tonight's Augusta Planning Board meeting. Thank you all for silencing your cell phones. A reminder for all who will be speaking this evening, please speak directly into the microphone so everyone can hear your comments. Please address all questions and comments directly to the board members, and we will attempt to have all of your concerns addressed. There are 3 items on tonight's planning board agenda, or 4 items. 3 are public hearings and 1 is a workshop. The procedure for the public hearing will be as usual. Betsy and Eva will present the application. The applicant or representative will speak next. We will then take public testimony. If you choose to speak, please state your name and address, and a reminder to address your comments to the board. We will first hear those in favor of the proposal, then against, then neither for nor against. Once all public testimony has been heard, the applicant will have final say. The public hearing will then be closed and the planning board will deliberate. No further testimony will be heard unless specifically requested by a member of the board. Betsy and Eva, we're ready to begin.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eva Nielsen, and I'm the Assistant City Planner. The first item on our agenda tonight is a public hearing for a major development and conditional use application of Augusta Community Solar, LLC, a subsidiary of Midcoast Solar, LLC, to construct a 1.0 megawatt alternating current ground-mounted solar energy project on a vacant lot. This is Assessor's Map 1, lots 245, 243, and 240, and it's located west of Commerce Drive in the Industrial District, or IA. The applicant provided right title or interest in the form of a deed for lots 240 and 245, owned by White Pine Solar, with a letter from an associated representative providing project authorization. And an access and utility easement from SR Commerce Land Holdings, LLC, owner of Lot 243, who also provided a letter granting project authorization to the applicant. The applicant submitted an application for development and conditional use and some supporting materials, including a decommissioning plan, stormwater modeling, and erosion and sediment control plans, site plan and details, and other materials, as well as a letter of authorization for the consultant to represent the applicant. Application fees, public notice, and abutter notification fees were paid. Staff also completed direct mailings to abutters within the required notification radius of 500 feet. We posted legal ads in the newspaper. We notified City Council, the Planning Board, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and others, and we installed a sign on the property. So based on this review, Augusta City Planning staff recommends that the Planning Board make the positive motion regarding the applicant standing to apply, the completeness of the application, and the sufficiency of public noticing so that we can go ahead with the more substantive review.
Is there a motion?
Betsy,
I'm sure, can I make that motion since I came in late?
yeah.
Again?
You didn't make any, you haven't answered any testimony.
Right. I move that the planning staff has provided the appropriate noticing for this application. The application is otherwise complete, and it's ready for our review tonight.
Second. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, do we have to say all in favor?
Yeah, any discussion?
Yeah, any discussion?
Yeah, no.
All in favor, yeah. Thank you.
Staff have completed a staff review and the draft findings of fact and conclusions of law document. We also have a review from the city engineer, Tyler Pease, which we have provided to all of you, and we posted on the website and provided to the applicant as well. So for this application, the applicant proposes the ground-mounted solar panels on just over 5 acres of 8 total acres of Lot 245. The project is proposed to be adjacent to the north of the previously approved solar project along Commerce Drive for Commerce Drive Solar. So you'll see that the application tonight for Augusta Community Solar proposes to share that same road access with this already approved project, which would provide a connection from the solar project's driveway over to Commerce Drive. And we'll see this on the plan later. 8-foot agricultural fencing is also proposed along the perimeter of the solar array, and then Maine DEP permitting is required, including the Site Location of Development Act and stormwater permits. And a decommissioning plan was also submitted. So just looking quickly over prior approvals, back in 2006, the Central Maine Commerce Center subdivision plan was signed by the board. And then a revision was signed by the planning board in 2008. And as I just mentioned, the access road proposed to connect to this project's driveway was approved, most recently approved by the planning board on October 14th, 2025. So I'll go through some of the slides now. Here's a more zoomed out aerial highlighting all the parcels associated with this project in that orange color. You can see Commerce Drive here. So it's running kind of east to west until this crook, and then it runs north and south. And then a little bit more. Sorry, this is the zoomed in aerial. You can see the parcels a little bit clearer here. So the northernmost parcel would house the solar, and the two southern lots would provide access connections back to Commerce Drive here. There aren't a lot of abutters in the area within the 500-foot vicinity, but they include offices owned by the state of Maine, vacant land, approved solar, and other business and professional offices and services. And there's also an industrial park to the north. And I have some photos of the parcels. So there isn't a lot to see right now, but we're looking at where Commerce Drive kind of shifts north and south. Facing southwest into Lot 240, the access road, which was already approved, would be located approximately across from where the city car is parked here. We have some other photos just for context facing north, the opposite direction, toward the state police facility. And now I'm standing maybe a little bit south of the approved entrance of the access road, facing northeast towards some of the state offices and the parking area. Facing south on Commerce Drive toward more parking and leading to that crook in the road that leads east toward Augusta Family Medicine and some other offices closer to Civic Center Drive. This is just the existing dirt road that leads from the southern end of the state police into Lot 240. It's not utilized by this project, but it's just another look at the parcel. And lastly, for photos, I went out again and I monitored what the existing vegetation looked like along that eastern boundary of the parcel where the solar would be located. So according to our ordinance, if visible, the solar panels would need to be screened from the private way of Commerce Drive. And while they wouldn't be significantly visible from the street, the vegetation here is more of the shrub type. So, and it is pretty wet over here. The elevation is a little bit higher too. So we did add the condition, a draft condition of approval for buffer yard C here. And another view here, this is actually from Commerce Drive. So I'll just note that the taller, more coniferous trees are located on that opposite side of the solar parcel. So the existing vegetation in the foreground can count toward the standard, but might need to be supplemented a little bit to meet our standard. But the planning board also has some flexibility if they want to use it to waive this requirement. However, the applicant stated that they are amenable to adding some plantings in this location. And then this is the overall site plan. The proposed solar array is in Lot 245 there. And then the proposed driveway in Lot 243, which would connect back to that access road leading back to Commerce Drive. The panels would be 12 feet tall and they would face south. And the driveway is gravel, and it starts at 24 feet, narrowing to 16 feet after a 50-foot distance. And there are a couple of turnarounds. The agricultural style fence has a gap of 8 inches for wildlife infiltration. Also, the wiring is underground, but a pole exists near the entrance for metering. And there is a Knox box at the access gate. So I do have the other pages in case there are questions or comments. Just a few other notes. We did leave a few areas of comment within our staff review for the planning board. The applicant had requested that though the city requires removal of solar 18 months after operations may cease, they requested that in extraordinary circumstances that the planning board might allow decommissioning to be delayed. The planning board hasn't granted this in the past, so planning staff recommend to maintain the precedent set, but it's up to the planning board. Also, the applicant's decommissioning estimate does differ from our city engineers. They had an estimate of $45,800, but they do acknowledge Tyler's estimate based on the 13 cents per megawatt day equivalent, which comes out to $196,170. And again, the planning board has historically gone with Tyler's estimate using the metric that was described in the letter that we have handed out to you. And just a quick note about decommissioning bonds. A reminder to most of you probably, but just generally speaking, the decommissioning bond is required to ensure that sufficient funds are available to remove a solar energy system at the end of its useful life. So in most cases, the applicant doesn't pay the full amount up front. Instead, it's the bond is a financial guarantee provided through a bank or a bonding company, with the applicant paying fees over time to keep the bond in place. And it could be 1% to 3% per year, it depends on the bond. But this allows the city to be protected if a project is abandoned, but it also avoids an unnecessary financial burden during construction as well. So moving on, there are a few waivers requested. Waivers aren't needed for the traffic report or the full stormwater report. The boundary survey, the applicant stated that this would be submitted with the building permit app. So again, in line with past practice, staff recommend granting the waiver. And after construction, the traffic to the site would be minimal, hence no need for a traffic report. It doesn't hit the threshold. The related standards are met for traffic. And then for stormwater, the modeling submitted, as you saw in the letter, is sufficient for our purposes and indicates no net increase over 210 and 25-year increments. And then there are wetlands on the property. The proposal won't impact them. And the signage doesn't require a permit from codes. It's not visible from the road. I'll just quickly now go over the draft finding and the draft conditions, some of which we've touched on already. So first, the finding. A waiver has been requested from submission of a boundary survey with the surveyor's name, address, signature, and seal. As the applicant stated, this will be submitted with the building permit application. Staff supports granting the waiver, and then the planning board grants or does not grant the waiver. It's up to you all. And then the draft conditions. Number 1, an access and utility easement located on lot 243 shall be formalized and recorded at the Kennebec County Registry of Deeds. Number 2, issuance of a decommissioning bond in the amount of $196,170, consistent with the 13 cents per watt for other solar projects, shall be issued with the City of Augusta named as an obligee. Updates to the estimate shall be provided every 5 years. Number 3, issuance of permits from the Maine Department of Environmental Protection for Site Location of Development Act, and stormwater shall be submitted to the Planning Bureau. And lastly, buffer yard sea landscaping shall be established and maintained along the northeastern boundary of lot 245 in order to screen the view from Commerce Drive. And I think that's all I wanted to share from a staff perspective. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Eva? guess we can hear from the applicant.
Good evening. My name is Sean Murphy. I work for a firm called Flycatcher LLC. We do environmental and regulatory permitting. I think as has happened the last few times I've been in front of here, the staff has done an excellent job of summarizing the project. The only thing I would say is I do regret my writing that wasn't clear in the decommissioning plan that we were accepting the city engineer's metric for that. And it really was mostly because the state DEP wants to see how you came up with the number. Our number that we came up with based on the methodology they've accepted is lower, but we fully embrace the condition that requires the 183 or whatever the final number was. With that, I will take any questions you have, or we can move on to the next phase.
Any questions for the applicant? Bob?
On your final survey, it mentions that you're looking at that. There may be where you can put in more panels than what you're asking for at this time. Is that correct?
It is possible in the northeast corner of the parcel, you could put panels up there, but the applicant has no intent of doing so.
Okay.
And doing so would trigger a round of review from CMP that would undoubtedly remove any economic value for doing that.
How many panels is that you're going to put in this?
Oh, I don't know the metric. It is on the site plans in the
Okay.
lower corner, but it's, 0.99 megawatt.
Okay. Secondly, in regards to the technology requirement, I feel you guys are very well qualified on
Are
that.
very what?
Very well qualified
Oh, thank you.
to do that stuff, so I don't have any problem with technical. Financial, we got a letter from Midcoast Solar stating to finance the project, Midcoast has used internal capital for development and will work with Pathward Bank, pre-approved for construction costs, and work with one of its financing partners to take it out. And we get a letter from Pathward Bank stating that they are in fact going to be financing this project, or they're covering this project?
I don't see any reason why not offhand, but I've also studiously avoid the financial parts of these sort of projects.
Right, and we don't go into the financial either. We don't go for statements or figures or anything else. What we normally look for is just a letter from some bank or investor that states that they in fact are financing this specific project. Okay?
So what I would offer is that normally when, and I should say this, I was on the Portland Planning Board, we also look for those sort of financials,
Right.
but we don't have decommissioning bonds that are set up if something gets halfway through and doesn't get finished. The decommissioning bond is in place precisely because of concern out of that, in a way that
Correct.
most of the applicants that come before you don't have that requirement. In fact, I don't know if any other.
On our people, we do have it. Any project we've approved, we've had decommissioned bonds put forth.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've always had them on that stuff.
So if that's something that you wanted to have as a potential condition for
Yes.
that as part of the building permit, I mean, I guess at that point, they would have to be in financing if they're moving towards building.
Just a letter or something from the bank stating that they are doing that, and somebody who state that they're going to, how the decommissioning bond is going to be funded also.
So that part is actually easier. In the way the decommissioning bond happens for both you, and you'll be a co-obligee with the state, is we give you a draft of the bond before it's finalized for you to review and confirm, planning staff to review and confirm. It may not stop there, it may go to your city finance people, I don't know. But in any case, it's not finalized until there's sign off from
Right,
both you. and
I
the
understand that.
So, okay,
The final paperwork just has to go and approved by the office, the planning office.
exactly so.
That's good, that's very good. That's my questions.
Any other questions for the applicant before we open it up for the public hearing? You'll have the last word. Thank you. Oh, Kathy.
I do have one question.
Okay,
I had to find it.
okay.
So there are easements for underground CMP on this lot?
There will be, so there aren't at this particular point, what staff is referring to there is this project uses some land that's owned by CR Commerce Landings LLC, and so they will grant an easement for both the access road and utilities to cross their land. In the same way that the White Pine granted an easement for that project to cross their land. They're both using each other's land to get from point A to point B.
Yeah, just to clarify too on that. So lot 243, where that driveway is proposed and where that access road was already approved, we have an easement from them saying that the access road, it gives utility and access for that road, but not specifically for the driveway that is proposed here. So that's what that condition was referring to.
I forgot, I got one more deal. You asked for a waiver of extending the decommissioning plan from to 18 months. State requires 15 on that. We would not go against the state in regarding that. So I would be not in favor of granting that particular waiver, and you guys would need to stick with the 15 months. Is that a problem?
That's fine.
Okay.
Any other questions? You'll have the last word. Thank you very much. All right, is anybody here to speak in favor of the project? Anybody here to speak against the project? Right, how about neither for nor against? All right, you have the last word.
I yield my time.
Fair. Thank you. That closes the public hearing portion. Now, let's go around and I'd like to hear what you all have to say. Ben?
I'm in favor of the project. The only changes that we discussed were the decommissioning bond piece from Tyler. I'm in favor of going to that number. And then also what Bob mentioned regarding the state requirements,
Thank you.
or standards, sorry.
Kevin?
Yeah, I'm also in favor of the project. I think the conditions make sense, and yeah, I don't see any major issues.
Thank you. Kathy?
I'm fine with the project. I think the only thing I need to see is how we're going to word language about the letter from the bank and what it should say or not say. So I was thinking of something about like evidence of financing commitment, something like that.
Sure. Good. I'm glad we'll
Is that too
discuss-
strong?
Yeah, I'm glad to discuss that, so we can come back to that, because I bet others may want to
Yeah.
talk about that too. Thank you. Bob?
I'm in favor of the project. I think it's good. I'm glad to see them coming out there. I think it's a great location to put that project out there. I'm happy to see that they've been working with our city staff and getting the stuff that's been requested, and they've answered stuff very quickly for us, and the financial letter and information on the decommissioning plan will match with pretty much what they've got out there now. The surveyor is happy to see that they will do no additional panels on that thing. If they had, I would have said we wouldn't have been able to adjust. We would have to adjust decommissioning plan, but we don't, because they're not going to put any more panels out there. So I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you. Allison?
I'm fine too with the conditions we've talked about.
Thank you. Mandy?
I agree. I'm in favor with the conditions.
Thank you.
I agree. I'm in favor as long with the conditions, added conditions we've added.
Thank you, Nate. All right, so it sounds like the only one that we need to discuss, and I'm happy to just kind of talk out loud about it again, but it sounds like having a pre-approval letter or a letter of support of funding from Pathward Bank is being requested as an additional condition. My question before we add this, just to make sure I understand, is does the decommissioning bond help cover a fiscal gap if financial means weren't achieved. I'm just looking to not be redundant in our asks on the applicant.
Yeah, so the decommissioning bond, if it's listed as a condition of approval and if the board wants to accept it, we would need a copy of that as staff before the applicant could obtain a permit. So also with something like a financial letter, I mean, in the meantime, the applicant could change banks. There's nothing that would adhere the applicant to going through that bank for, so I don't know if it would really provide the assurance that one might expect, but if it's something that the planning board wants from the applicant, I don't think it necessarily does any harm.
It's just an extra step that doesn't necessarily mean where you have to approve the decommissioning bond anyway. They can't get a building or a permit to proceed with their project until you've, or someone in planning and municipal fiscal authority can review that at that time.
Yeah.
To cover the project. Okay.
But usually, as part of the application process, they're supposed to demonstrate fiscal capability for this particular project. And there really wasn't anything here. So absent that, I think we need to be fairly specific just for this project, because we didn't get it up front. At some point, they have to show that they've got the capacity to financially implement this project before it's undertaken. So whether that's through something that happens before, through the permitting process or not, I'm fine with saying that has to be done before any permits can be granted. But they have to show the evidence that they've got the financing needed to complete the project.
And because the decommissioning bond is presented prior to and I see number 2 on our conditions, does that cover or satisfy?
No.
No, that's not like
Separate.
a security deposit that you can use to, fix the holes in the wall and stuff. It's to tear the thing down when the thing
In
is
the
no
end.
longer in use at the end. So it can't be used up front for other purposes.
Right, so it really
Right,
isn't
so
part
they
of-
are two different issues that are out there.
Right.
So, and again, it can be subject to the city approval of getting the letter from the bank or investor. In one case that they have already spoken to, the Pathway Bank, which they state is pre-approved for the construction costs. We just need a letter from that bank, not from the applicant. And then in regard to the decommissioning plan, subject to getting that plan put into effect before they get the building permit. So it's 2 steps.
Correct.
Did you get that, Kathy?
Which I think they can do very well.
Yes, it seems easy to achieve. Just looking to just make sure it's clear and non-redundant. All right. Anyone have a motion?
I can make one. Pursuant to the provisions of this, pursuant to the provisions of the City of Augusta Land Use Ordinance, the City of Augusta Planning Board has considered the application of Augusta Community Solar LLC, including supportive data, staff review comments, public hearing testimony, and related materials contained in the record. Planning Board agrees with the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. The applicant proposes to construct a 1 megawatt AC ground-mounted solar facility on 8.07 acres of vacant land. Access to the site is proposed from Commerce Drive, a private road via the adjacent solar project's approved access road, and a proposed driveway to the project site. In addition to the solar panels and associated electrical equipment, agricultural fencing is proposed along the perimeter of the solar array. MDEP permitting is required, including site location of Development Act and stormwater. A decommissioning plan, including approval of the associated bond amount, is also required. The applicant is a subsidiary of Midcoast Solar LLC and is identified as Augusta Community Solar LLC. The ownership is found in Book 15-242, pages 317 to 319. It's lots 240 and 245. Project authorization from White Pine Solar LLC. Access and utility easement agreement is in Book 15-553, pages 99 through 105, Lot 243. A complete project authorization by the Commerce Land Holdings LLC via letter. The owner is White Pine Solar LLC for lots 240 and 245, and SR Commerce Land Holdings LLC owns lot 243. The location is west of Commerce Drive. The zoning is Industrial District, Tax Map 1, lots 240, 243, and 245. The existing land use is vacant. The proposed land use is solar energy system, ground-mounted, large-scale, which requires this conditional review. The acreage is 8.07 acres. There has been previous permitting. The Central Maine Commerce Center subdivision plan was signed by the Planning Board on July 11, 2006, Book 2006, page 0129. Revision 1 to this plan was signed by the Planning Board on March 11, 2008, in Book 2008, page 0027. The solar access road located on lots 240 and 243 was approved by the Planning Board on October 14, 2025. This access road is proposed to also serve Augusta Community Solar. I move that the board agree with the conclusions of law as outlined by the staff, and move to therefore recommend approval of the application of Augusta Solar LLC as described in the findings of fact and conclusions of law, with the additional finding below. A waiver has been requested from submission of a boundary survey for surveyor's name, address, signature, and seal. As the applicant has stated, this will be submitted with the building permit application. Staff supports granting the waiver. The planning board grants the waiver. The following conditions shall be met prior to issuance of a permit from the Code Enforcement Bureau in order to satisfy land use ordinance criteria and planning board requirements. 1, an access and utility easement located on Lot 243 shall be formalized and recorded at the Kennebec County Registry of Deeds pursuant to Section 300-601D3E. 2, issuance of a decommissioning bond in the amount of $196,170, consistent with 13 cents per watt for other solar projects, shall be issued with the City of Augusta named as an obligee. Updates to the estimate shall be provided every 5 years. This is all pursuant to Section 300-5271D. 3, issuance of permits from the Maine Department of Environmental Protection for Site Location of Development Act and stormwater shall be submitted to the Planning Bureau pursuant to Section 300-404B, subsection 19. 4, buffer yard C landscaping shall be established and maintained along the northeastern boundary of Lot 245 in order to screen the view from Commerce Drive pursuant to Section 300-527, subsections 1A2. 5, the applicant shall provide evidence of financing partnership with, the name of the bank was what was the name? Pathway Bank prior to getting a building permit. The project shall commence within 2 years of this proposal and approval and shall be substantially completed within 5 years of the date of the planning board decision unless a permit extension has been granted by the board. Deviation from this approval is subject to code enforcement action and potential legal proceedings per Section 300-601 of the Land Use Ordinance.
I'll second that. Thank you, Allison. All in favor?
Hold on, I do have
Discussion.
some discussion.
Sure.
Discussions.
Yeah. Did you want to,
I want to add one to the findings up above. The request for the removal of the solar equipment to 15 months of operation versus 18 months that requested, it's been denied.
and what about the extraordinary circumstance comment that was in that same piece?
Which one?
The applicant requested, let me see if I can find it. The applicant stated they agree with the city's standard and request that in extraordinary circumstances, the planning board may allow decommissioning to be delayed. So they asked for that.
Yeah, they asked for 15. I'm saying it's denied because the request for the removal of the solar equipment to go to 18 months versus 15 months is hereby denied.
Whole thing
That's denying their
extraordinary.
request, that whole thing.
Okay.
I accept that friendly amendment.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll say.
Mandy?
I'm just not sure that we should put the actual name of the bank in the
Right.
conditions because it I mean, you never know, they could get financing elsewhere. I
Correct.
think maybe
That's
just
great.
proof of
Yep.
finance.
Proof of financial support.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Second, Allison. All in favor? Thank you. It's unanimous.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Good evening.
Yes.
So the next item, I'm Betsy Poulin, I'm the city planner. Hello, everyone. So the next item on the agenda is another public hearing. It's an amended major development in shoreline zone. It's the application of Main Street 1 LLC to add a commercial land use in the existing building, South Burley. This is Assessor's Map 10, Lot 8E, located west of Arsenal Street, across from Lerner's Drive in the Kennebec Business 2, KBD 2, and General Development Shoreland Overlay District, GD. So the applicant has provided a deed for right title or interest. They also had a letter of authorization in the packet for Teradyne to represent them at the meeting. We have Bud Angst from Woodhall here tonight, and I received an email authorization from Tom Neiman, who is the owner of the property, that Bud could represent them tonight. So that was not in your packet, but I did receive it. The applicant has also submitted an application form for an amended major development and shoreline zone application with the following supporting materials: the letter of authorization, the payment of the application and abutter notification fees. They have a narrative addressing the ordinance requirements and some plans that were submitted to show what the proposal is on the face of the earth. Planning staff determined that the submission was complete, so the application was distributed to the planning board and posted on the city's website. As staff, we completed the public noticing as outlined in the ordinance, which includes direct mailings to abutters within 500 feet of the property boundaries for this property. We did 2 legal ads in the paper. We notified City Council, the Planning Board, Board of Zoning Appeals, and other interested parties, and installed signage at the property. So as staff, we recommend that the planning board make a positive motion regarding the applicant standing to apply, application completeness, and sufficient public noticing in order to proceed with a substantive review of the application.
Allison?
I move that we find the application is complete as the applicant has sufficient right, title, and interest to apply and has submitted all necessary materials. Staff has provided the abutter notifications as required by the ordinance.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you.
As I stated just recently, so this application was posted online, as well as a staff review and a draft findings of fact and conclusions of law. The draft findings and fact and conclusions law is something the board can use as a guide for their decision-making process. It goes through all the standards in the ordinance. This particular project very recently came to the planning board very recently, back in February, for approval of a 15-unit apartment use within the Burley Arsenal building, which is the center main building on the property. So this application is for an amendment to that approval, which would add a commercial-type land use in the South Burley building. And the planning board at this point is only reviewing that change to have a commercial use in the shoreland district, because currently that's a governmental use in shoreland, the general development shoreland district. So to change it to another use, which would be a commercial use, requires the planning board approval. The base zoning district here is Kennebec Business 2, which allows a wide variety of commercial uses. So the application is for a commercial, like a business and professional office. But in reality, many other types of commercial uses could go on this property without additional planning board review, as long as they're commercial and don't change from that standard in this general development district. So up here on the screen, I've got an image of where the property is located. So north is on the right side. Here's the Kennebec River. This is Memorial Bridge here. The site is down here. This is Arsenal Street and the East Campus for the state of Maine. This map is rotated, so north is up, but it shows some of the environmental factors on this property. So the yellow outline is about where the project area is. Really, this line shows the property extending to the river, but it really actually extends just to the east of, there's a greenway pathway there. So it actually is up a little bit higher. This is Arsenal Street here. The big building here in the middle at the top of the fingers, that's the Arsenal building, which is where the 15-unit apartments were approved last month. So the South Burley building is this next one here to the south. This map shows the flood area, so that blue line is the 100-year flood, so this property is outside of that 100-year flood. This map shows where the shoreland districts are, so this kind of hot pink hatching is where the general development shoreland overlay is. So this building is within that district, which is why we're reviewing this tonight. Up at the property, these are images, same images from February, but this is looking to the south on Arsenal Street from the proposed two-way drive into the site. This is down that two-way drive towards the Kennebec River looking west. So this was that building where the 15-unit apartments was proposed, and kind of back here is where that South Burley building is, where the office use is proposed. Sorry, wrong way. This is looking to the north on Arsenal Street. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling here. So this is the South Burley building here. So this is where most traffic would enter the site. It's a two-way access, and there's a big parking lot over here to the south. So in the proposal the board reviewed in February, this was proposed to be a duplex. I know that there was some, an amendment to the project description that was that the overall vision of mixed use, including both rental housing and for sale housing with riverfront activities, is still planned. So after that February meeting, the owner wanted to add a little bit more mixed use to the site. So that's why we're here tonight for this building here. This is I'm at the south end of that parking lot looking north. So the South Burley building is there. As I said, the planning board approved some site plans to rehab this parking lot a little. Obviously, it's sort of falling apart, to restripe it, get that in a better condition. This is looking to the north on the Greenway path. This is the South Burley building. That's where those 15 apartments were proposed. This is looking over the Kennebec River in the wharf area, which is owned by the state of Maine. And then here I am looking to the south on that Greenway path and across the parade grounds looking south. Oh my gosh. So the north side's over here. This is Arsenal Street down here. This is a map from the meeting in February, but the graphic really shows what is proposed here. So this is a one-way entrance coming into the site. This is a two-way entrance, and the yellow one here is where the public access is. So that shows where the parking spaces are for public access. That's that South Burley building. So this is a two-way access, and this is a one-way access coming in. At the last planning board meeting, the board wanted to have the parking along here, which is on the east side of this one-way drive, removed because it's within the shoreland zone, and additional parking, unnecessary parking shouldn't be built. So the board asked for that to be removed. So this site plan it shows that revision, which was submitted in your packet. So it removes those parking spaces along here. So there's just the parking spaces to the north and south of that Arsenal building. But other than that, there were some minor changes to move the lighting closer to where the drive is, to, and obviously, impervious surface has reduced, that sort of thing. So looking through the staff review, I did note, go through the conditions of approval back in February and just give a summary as to where those still stand. So obviously, a lot of them still apply. So I've carried them forward onto this letter for the proposed amendment. And in the staff review, I've highlighted, underlined in italics any changes from that previous one approval, so the board can take a look and see what the differences are. We have a letter from the city engineer, and he was satisfied with those changes. Obviously, there's plenty of extra parking available out there. So the draft findings of fact and conclusions of law, I highlighted those amendments too, so the board could see the changes. And in here, I have a proposed finding which the board could consider or not add it, it's up to you folks, that commercial uses within the General Development Shoreland Overlay District, GD, could include a variety of land uses which are permitted within the Kennebec Business District 2, KBD 2. Uses other than commercial offices which are in compliance with site review criteria do not exceed 35 peak hour vehicle trips and are allowed within the General Development Shoreland Overlay District, see Section 300-528D, may also be permitted in the South Burley building without planning board review. So that would just maybe allow a little more flexibility with what's happening on the site, but also give that limitation for traffic. If traffic really starts getting a little, or, I mean, even if there's not enough parking, they'd have to come back to the planning board. But the traffic was specifically highlighted in this condition, so, I mean, proposed finding. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Betsy? Okay, we're ready to hear it from the applicant.
Hi all, Bud Anks with Woodhull. Happy to see you all again. So yeah, Betsy did a really great job introducing the project. Like I said, nothing has changed overall on the site, stormwater treatment, parking. Where it's really just a single use of the commercial, of the South Burley building to be a commercial use. After last month's meeting approval and hearing the feedback from the board, Tom just wanted to sort of lean right into it and start getting, you know, the property more activated. The offices space down there will potentially house the employees that will manage the site overall, which will allow for safer access from the public, safer, you know, more ability for mixed use, you know, opportunities on site, you know, interaction with the state on the wharf. That agreement is outside of my knowledge, like, you know, negotiates there, but it would allow for that to be possible. So we're just here to hear the board's thoughts on the commercial use.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
I'm just interested if they put together any drawings for how they're going to break that up into commercial use inside the buildings?
Yeah, we have. It was, sorry, I'm sitting in my sweatshirt. I just need to move that. There's really not much in the way we're tearing down the interior. I mean, we can't for the historic nature of it. And so it lends itself fairly well to 2 apartments. And it's the same for offices. There's a couple of rooms on the upper floor that will be individual offices or dual, and then it can split into 2 like distinct businesses without a lot of effort.
Okay.
Just leaning into what's there already.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, well, we'll open it up for public hearing. You'll have the last word. Thank you. Is there anybody here to speak for the project? Anybody here to speak against? Neither for nor against? Sure. If you, yeah, please come right on up. And just say your name and address and then your statement.
Enoch Benjamin Petroselli, 4 Sadie's Way, apartment 212. And I just wanted to ask, are these commercial use buildings being used for offices related to low-income housing or things like that? Or what exactly are they for? I'm sorry to ask this question. I just didn't
That's
know what
okay.
they were for exactly.
The applicant can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the ask is just the permission to have it be a commercial use also in that space, so the tenant is not yet identified.
Okay.
But they're just looking for permission to not have it just be residential only.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think the tenant is identified, and they say that it was going to be used for space for staff to collect rent and manage the
Possibly.
apartment units.
Feel free to come back on up, yep. And if you're all through, you feel free to go take a, or
Can I-
feel free to just come
I'm
on
gonna
up.
let him talk, and I might have another question.
So it will likely, again, I think same as it split into 2 apartments, it will split into 2 office spaces. And it's likely that one of them will be for the on-site staffing needs, whether that's like managing the units themselves or the actual physical property, both. That's
The other
very
one's
likely.
unidentified at
The
this
other one
time.
is
Yep.
TBD.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak neither for nor against? All right. And do you have anything else for your last word? Okay, thank you. That'll close the public hearing portion. Mandy?
I don't see any issues with it. I think gives them a little more leniency to get the space up and running. It's not a huge building, so I don't foresee any large businesses, going in there creating any problems. So I'm for it.
Thank you. Nate?
I agree with Mandy. I mean, I guess we wanted to see more mixed use on this property. This is the applicant trying to kind of fulfill that need. I don't see any issues with it.
Thank you. Allison?
I have no issues either.
Thank you. Bob?
I have no issues.
Kathy?
Making it commercial use sounds like a good idea.
Thanks. Ben?
I have no issues.
I have no issues either.
Thank you. Does anybody have a motion?
I do.
Thanks, Allison.
Concerning the application of Main Street LLC, Tom Neiman. Excuse me, I've got to keep 2 things going here. Pursuant to the provisions of the City of Augusta Land Use Ordinance, the City of Augusta Planning Board has considered the application of Main Street 1 LLC, including supportive data, staff review comments, public hearing testimony, and related materials contained in the record. The Planning Board makes the following findings of fact and conclusions of law. The applicant proposes to amend the existing approval dated February 10th, 2026, to add commercial office space within the South Burley building. This requires planning board approval only within the General Development Shoreland Overlay District, GD, for commercial uses. 2 pedestrian path connections are proposed to the eastern side of the building. The updated site plan also shows the removal of parking spaces originally proposed on the eastern side of the one-way driveway along the Burley building, as we required of them in their earlier approval. The project is located at the Kennebec Arsenal, west of Arsenal Street, in the Kennebec Business District 2, KBD 2, and General Development Shoreland Overlay District, GD, and can be found on Tax Map 10, Lot 8E. Based on the information before the planning board, including the remaining detailed findings of fact and conclusions of law in the staff review, applicant's submittals and testimony, and all other related materials contained in the record, I would like to excuse me, that's a typo. I would like to approve the following, the application with the following amendments. I would like to add the following finding. Commercial uses within the General Development Shoreland Overlay District, GD, could include a variety of land uses which are permitted within KBD2 district. Uses other than commercial offices, which are in compliance with site review criteria, do not exceed 35 peak hour vehicle trips and are allowed in the GD Overlay District, Section 300-528.d, may also be permitted in the South Burley building without planning board review. The following conditions shall be met prior to issuance of a permit from the Code Enforcement Bureau in order to satisfy land use ordinance criteria and planning board requirements. 1, compliance with National Park Service Historic Preservation Certificate conditions of approval per 300-404.b subsection 9 and 300-603.e5e6. 2, signage shall be added at Arsenal Street to identify the public access location, parking, greenway trail, and historic wharf waterfront access per section 300-603.e5e5. 3, all building and site lighting shall be full cutoff fixtures per ordinance standards 300-404B21. 4, landscaping shall be installed in the large parking lot island meeting Buffer Yard A landscaping with a list of proposed plant materials and sizes per section 300-502C7B and 300-603E6E. 5, deteriorated chain link fencing on the northern property line shall either be replaced or removed per section 300-404B10. 6, parking spaces adjacent to the apartment building will be restricted to loading and unloading and handicap only per section 300-603E5E8. The project shall commence within 2 years of this approval and shall be substantially completed within 5 years of the date of the planning board decision unless a permit extension has been granted by the board. Deviation from this approval is subject to code enforcement action and potential legal proceedings per section 300-601 of the land use ordinance.
Second?
Thank you, Bob. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you, it's unanimous. Thank you.
Good to stand there.
Both of us will have to carry it.
So the third item on the agenda is another public hearing. It's a conditional use. It's the application of HFGC Recovery Network, Brandon Roberge, to create a rooming house in a portion of an existing building. This is Assessor's Map 5A, Lot 61A, located at 1 Anthony Avenue in the Industrial District, IA. So the applicant has provided right title interest in the form of a purchase and sale agreement. The applicant has submitted the application form for a conditional use with the following supporting materials, payment of the application and the abutter notification fee, the narrative addressing the ordinance requirements for submission, and plans addressing the site elements. So planning staff determined that the submission was complete, so the application was distributed to the planning board and posted on the city's website. Staff completed public noticing as outlined in the ordinance, which includes direct mailings to abutters within 500 feet of the property, legal advertisements in the paper, there were 2, notification to City Council, the Planning Board, Board of Zoning Appeals, and interested parties, and signage installed on both street frontages at the property. So staff recommends that the Planning Board make a positive motion regarding the applicant's standing to apply, the application completeness, and sufficient public noticing in order to proceed with a substantive review of the application.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
Sure. I move that we find the application is complete as the applicant has sufficient right, title, and interest to apply and has submitted all necessary materials. Staff has provided the abutter notifications as required by the ordinance.
Would anyone like to
Second.
Thank you, Bob. Any discussion? All in favor? Very good, thank you.
Okay, so as I stated, the application was posted online, and also I posted the staff review and draft findings of fact and conclusions of law for this. So as for the last application, the draft findings of fact and conclusions of law is like a guideline for the board to use for their decision-making process. You can modify it however you choose. The request is for a conditional use review for Section 30603E. The applicant proposes a rooming house, which is a conditional use for up to 13 individuals within a portion of an existing building. The changes proposed to the site including changing site lighting fixtures to full cutoff, designated accessible parking spaces, a walkway along the east of the building, and added landscaping in the parking lot and along the roadways. Other proposed uses within the building do not require planning board review, as those are permitted uses. And those uses include intensive outpatient rehabilitation facility, which would be a medical clinic, substance abuse detox, which is classified as a nursing home in our ordinance, and Newman Homes, which is finance, insurance, and real estate services, which would be sort of an office-type space. So, as I said just there, that the only change that the planning board is reviewing is the actual rooming house portion of this. So these other land uses that are proposed in the building are provided as part of the application and shown on the plans because the board needs to know what the demands for the parking of the facility and the traffic and everything would be, just to make sure that everything's still falling within standards of what the site can manage, so. So, as I said, the applicant is HFGC Recovery Network, which is Brandon Roberge. There's a purchase and sale agreement between Brandon Roberge and Augusta Realty Company, which is the owner of the property. The existing land use is a restaurant there, and the proposed use that the planning board is reviewing, which is a conditional use, is the rooming house. So the board understands, so I have a definition for a rooming house. So a rooming house is a building or group of attached or detached buildings containing 3 or more rooms for occupancy for weekly or longer periods of time with or without board, in which common kitchen or living facilities may or may not be provided, as distinguished from hotels and tourist homes, in which rentals are generally for weekly or daily periods, and occupancy is by transients. A rooming house may be operated by a for-profit or by nonprofit agencies which do not require payment from occupants. A rooming house unit shall not meet the definition of a dwelling unit. That's because typically the rooming house rooms, it's a room, and then, you're sharing common facilities for kitchen or bathrooms. And also, this, as I said, it would be a conditional use, so it's a permitted use. The definition of conditional use is a permitted use which may not be appropriate without restriction in particular district, but which, in the opinion of the planning board, if controlled as to number, location, relation to the neighborhood, site design, operational aspects, traffic generation, impacts on public facilities, and implementation of performance standards, would promote the public safety, health, and convenience or welfare. A conditional use shall be allowed in a district only if the regulations for the district specifically permit it, subject to the approval of the planning board, and only when the board finds that such use meets all the requirements applicable to it as specified in this chapter. So both the staff review and the draft findings of fact and conclusions of law go through each of those standards that are the conditional use review criteria, and in staff opinion, just or summarizing, what the applicant has provided, state, what the, how the application relates to those standards in the ordinance, which is what the planning board would be discussing. So obviously, the board is reviewing these conditional use criteria tonight. Just for general information, the rooming houses are conditional use within 7 zoning districts in the city. So RA, RB1, RC, RD, BPIA, and PD2. So there's several, obviously, rooming houses in the city. A lot of them are located more downtown area. And interestingly enough, they're all non-conforming uses, most of them.
What was that last part?
Non-conforming uses.
Non-conforming uses.
They're in zoning districts that wouldn't allow a new rooming house. Interesting, but, so I did receive, which I could pass around to the board, a letter from the utility district about the capacity for the changes on this property, that they had no concerns.
See, you-
Oh, I did. Look at me, look at me. So organized. So yeah, just to make sure that the existing utility connections are adequate there, and they are. We did receive 3 calls in our department of questions about the project. You know, people saw the signs. Most of the concerns were about the restaurant closing and not being there. Obviously, the person who owns the property would have any control over who the tenants are in that property. So the planning board has no control over the tenants and any kind of relationship between landlord, tenant. All we're reviewing is what this proposed use is out there with somebody who has the authority to apply to the planning board for a use. We did have an email from Michael Marsh, which I handed to you all at your desk. I also have a letter from Judy Zhang, who's the owner of the Great Wall Buffet, which was distributed to the board. And I did receive, actually Eva received a call from another individual who said they would send us their comments, but I don't believe we didn't receive anything, unfortunately. Okay. So up on the screen, I can show you, I think most people know where this is located. There's a little yellow box in the middle of this property. This is the lot. So this is Civic Center Drive here. This is the interstate. Zooming in on this next screen here, this is the particular lot where the building is located. This is Civic Center Drive here, this is Darren Drive here, and Anthony Avenue right here. This building was built in 1982. It has site access only to Anthony Avenue over here. It has about 130 parking spaces out there. As I said, the applicant was proposing to upgrade the lighting and add some landscaping because I guess there were different standards in 1982, and those things weren't really required, for the planning board. This map also shows the neighborhood compatibility area, which is about 500 feet from the property boundary. So it's this sort of outline over here. So looking at neighboring land uses, we've got the Irving Convenience gas station over here. There's Wendy's. There's the Department of Motor Vehicle, Miller Fitness, Origins Cannabis. There's the Fairfield Inn over here. There's sort of a mixed-use building here with commercial and overhead door, different land uses in this. There's another state office building here. This is J.S. McCarthy's Printing. This is the KFC building right here. There's Advanced Auto Parts, Bank, Kennebec Savings Bank drive-through. There's 2 single-family residences over here. This is Camp Chamberlain. And over here is the 99 Restaurant and the Comfort Inn. So those are the land uses in the area. There's some pictures. I went out to the site. Luckily, there's not much snow on the ground here. This is looking to the south on Anthony Avenue. So in the background, you can see the Fairfield Inn. This is looking across the street at the state office building. This is looking to the north on Anthony Avenue towards Darren Drive. So you can't really see J.S. McCarthy, but it is back in the distance there. Panning over towards the northeast, you can see the KFC over here and into the site. This is the front of the building. So as you can see, it's a 1-story building. It's 100 by 175 foot footprint. And then this is looking to the south. There's in the description, I noted that there's dumpsters over here. There is an enclosure here, but one of them is escaped. So I guess to meet the standards, both of the dumpsters are going to need to be in the enclosure, which the applicant said that they would do that. This is looking to the east. So this is the southern end of the building here. And then panning more towards the north along the main frontage here. So This is looking over towards the south across that. So as you can see, like the parking area is sort of really wide open right now, and the land use ordinance requires some landscaping in it for the size of the parking lot. So the site plan I'll show you later adds some landscaped islands in this near the lighting poles. This is looking to the east along that northern side, so there's a little bit more parking here. Darren Drive's over here, Civic Center Drive's in the background. This is the electrical connection, which would remain unchanged to the property. This is looking to the south along that eastern line, so the Irving Convenience Store is over here. I mentioned that there'd be an additional pathway, walkway connection to the doors over here, and that would be over here in this area. And then this is looking up towards the west. And so this area, there are some plantings here along the road, and some of these existing plantings would be able to count towards that landscape, the buffer yard A landscaping, but some supplemental plantings would be needed to meet the ordinance standards, and the applicant has provided a plan for that. So this plan here, this is Anthony Avenue here, this is Darren Drive, so Civic Center is kind of down at the bottom. This shows these little circles on the plan. These are all proposed plantings. They're kind of on either side of the ditch here. The two-way access drive would remain. These are the proposed landscaped islands, which are around the existing light poles. The applicant's proposing to change the lighting in these areas and on the building to meet the full cutoff standards. And then, as I said, there'd be a walkway here. This inaccessible parking space is delineated. Up here, this little block diagram here shows what the building layout would be. So this building layout here mirrors what's down here. So the blue would be the Newman Homes area. The IOP is up at the top here. The detox is in the yellow. And then this orange kind of all through the middle is the rooming house area, which would include like a common kitchen. So going through all the standards of the land use ordinance, the standards that weren't met, the applicant has addressed with the additional landscaping and changing the lighting. I provided a summary of the parking that would be required for all the uses on the site, and basically the ordinance would require a little bit more, like than of half of the spaces that are out on the site, so there's definitely adequate parking out there. The applicant provided some traffic information and has forecasted a decrease in traffic. A bunch of the other land use standards are outlined in here, and there didn't seem to be any concerns with those. We have a letter from the city engineer, and Tyler Pease, he's here tonight as well, so would be able to answer any questions the board has. So in the draft decision letter, I didn't list any proposed additional findings. I have 3 proposed conditions. One is the building mounted and site lighting shall be full cutoff to meet ordinance standards. Number 2, the dumpsters should be placed inside the enclosures to meet ordinance standards. And 3, landscape plan with plant types, quantities, and sizes shall be provided to the Planning Bureau for approval. And I think that's it. Anybody have any questions for me?
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, I just have a question regarding the scope. So, and going back to the detox facility, from my understanding, you said that under our standards, it qualifies as a nursing home facility, or what was stated, and specifically what
yes.
does it fall under?
Yeah, so code enforcement looked at all the different uses in this building, and we had a lot of back and forth with the applicant and their representative about just making sure that we fully understand what was being proposed and what those land use standards. And in Augusta's ordinance, it falls into a nursing home land use, which even if Augusta considers it a nursing home, if there's any state licensing, it might fall under a different classification with the state or a different classification with, say, even building code. But land use wise, it would be considered nursing home.
Okay.
This would not qualify as a nursing home. by any stretch of the imagination.
Yep. I agree.
And I don't think rooming house satisfies the definition of an inpatient detox facility that's supervised medically by medical directors and nurses and med administration and helping people actively detox while they're there under a rooming house.
What do you suggest?
Well, I spent some time this afternoon trying to figure out what category it might fall under. It doesn't seem to fall under any of the categories that I reviewed that we currently have. And that's my professional opinion, having been responsible for all that licensing at one point in my life.
And say, I will read the definition of nursing home, just so everybody can hear. So a nursing home, convalescent home, rest home is a facility which is operated in connection with a hospital or in which nursing care and medical services are prescribed by or performed under the general direction of persons licensed to practice medicine or surgery in the state for the accommodation of convalescent or other persons who are not acutely ill and not in need of hospital care, but do require skilled nursing care and related medical services. The term nursing home or nursing facility is restricted to those facilities, the purpose of which is to provide skilled nursing care and related medical services for a period of not less than 24 hours per day to individuals admitted because of illness, disease, or physical or mental infirmity, in which provides a community service. For the rooming house definition, the other option we had looked at was also group home, but group
Is that
home.
limited to 8 beds?
No, that's community living arrangement. So group home is a facility licensed by the state of Maine wherein more than 8 persons not legally related to the operator are provided personal care, supervision, and social or rehabilitative services. The facility serves as a substitute for a resident's own homes, furnishing facilities and comforts normally found in a home, but providing in addition such service, equipment, and safety features as are required for safe and adequate care of the residents.
And that
But this is
definition was
not a
what?
facility that's licensed by the state of Maine, so it does,
What was the name of the facility?
group home,
Group home?
Group home, yeah.
but this is not licensed by the state of Maine, so it doesn't fall under that definition.
Ben?
Just quickly, this is why I requested legal counsel from, I know it was today, but this is exactly why. And this conversation regarding the classification under our land use ordinance and our standards, I think that it really, in my opinion, requires some legal counsel and conversation.
Again, just to point out, these folks came in, they met with the city staff, met with Rob Overton, who is the Director of Code Enforcement, and much time was spent discussing what definitions and where they're going forward with. And what was given to the applicant was that they met these specific ones. I just want to point that out, that a lot of discussion went forth before they moved forward with it.
I still disagree with that. how
You
that would-
disagree with it, what they're
Disagree with their
finding?
conclusion.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine.
I think there's not enough information.
You know, if you look, even if you took the time to read their program description, where it talks about the ACAM level 3.5, clinically managed residential treatment programs, there are standards in the state for residential treatment facilities. This just does not fit in a rooming house nor a nursing home definition, and thus I do not believe that the performance standards for those two types of operations fit the program that they are saying they want to put in here. Absolutely do not.
Yeah.
I'm very adamant about that.
Do you need a physician to oversee an ASAM level 3.5? Do you know that? There's nothing in here about oversight by a physician, is there? I mean, I have a lot of questions still.
I would like to hear from the applicant on that stuff
I would
before you
too.
make it, before you make any decisions on anything that you're doing. So I think we should move on to the applicant if there's no more questions.
And if there are, we can ask the applicant once they're done their presentation. Okay. Ready for the applicant? Hi.
Good evening. Ben Murray from AE Hodson. First of all, I want to thank Betsy for a great overview and your staff as well for working with us to get this site compliant with current ordinances. Just one clarification on the rooming part. Betsy mentioned 13 individuals, actually 13 rooms proposed in the facility with 2 individuals per room, so it's 26 total. So I can,
Dan, I just want to interrupt you. You just said 13 rooms, 2 people per, so for 26
Correct.
residents in it. But again, just going back to exhibit number 2, it talks up to 40 residents. Why is it 40 residents when you're saying it can't go above 26?
right, so that was just the rooming part. There's the detox that also has additional rooms as well. There are,
For overnight residents?
excuse me?
For overnight residency?
Inpatient.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep. There are.
So
between
it's
six-
26, so it's 26 and 14 other people. So it's actually going to be 40 rooms.
Correct. Well,
For
40
40 patients,
Right.
not 40 patients, 40 residents. There we go.
40 individuals,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
2 per room, correct. So as Betsy stated, we're making improvements to a lot of landscaping on the site, light improvements. So I can answer any site relevant questions for you. And I'll defer the operational questions over to my colleagues here. So if there's any planning board have any site related questions that I can answer?
It seems operations are first, and then we'll see what comes for
Sure.
land.
I'm Brandon Roberge. I'm the owner and happy to answer any questions you have. And this is Joe, our director. We're happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Sure. Kathy, do you want to restate your question you had earlier?
I'd like to restate my question about the 2 types of populations that you would serve and what type of license application you would receive from the state to be able to operate.
So it will be detox ASAM level 3.7 for the 14 beds in the back of the building
How's it licensed?
through the DLC in main care.
How is it licensed as what?
What do you mean by that, miss?
What's the name of the type of facility that's going to be on the license?
You said the ASAM 3.7 is the.
That's a category. That's a category of complexity of a patient. That's not a licensed category.
It's a withdrawal management facility.
Is there such a category in state licensing for that?
Yes.
And who licenses it?
Division of Licensing and Certification.
And it's licensed as a rooming house?
No.
Rooming house
See,
was a
that's
term that.
disconnect.
That's the zoning term.
That's the exact disconnect that I'm thinking about here, is that we've got performance standards related to a rooming house when they're operating a very complex medical environment, that the performance standards are not adequate.
And I don't disagree with you one bit. It's just we had many discussions with Rob under like what category this falls under. And it almost seems like maybe the categories that the city of Augusta has, this is what Rob told us that it seems like this is the best description of what we're doing.
It seems like we need a new category.
Also,
I don't disagree with that at all.
it was under my understanding that the Section 65 program, the IOP, was already permitted, that the detox was already said that it was permitted as well, right? So it was under my understanding that we're here for the residential rehab.
Permitted.
Medical clinic is permitted. So what do you think constitutes a medical clinic as opposed to the intensive inpatient?
I mean, I wouldn't try to say what category we should or shouldn't be in. I defer to the code enforcement.
Still trying to find out what you're proposing.
Well, so we're proposing I mean, so we're proposing what we're here about is the 3.5, the ASAM 3.5, which is a residential rehabilitation facility.
Okay.
And so basically, people will be there between 30 and 45 days.
So there is a
and they're
licensed
part of
category that's residential treatment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
30 and 45 days.
So what about for the second category, the medically monitored withdrawal management, the detox part? How's that going to be licensed?
Same way, just a different category.
So there'll be one license with two separate services listed on it?
Two separate licenses.
Two separate licenses, okay.
Any other comments or questions?
You know, my one concern about all the people that will be sleeping there, there doesn't look like there's any daylight in any of those rooms. No windows, no skylights, no outdoors, is that correct?
So we will have some outdoor space that's fenced in and attached just to the property. So there's definitely a real big confidentiality aspect to the patients who are going to be here.
So that means no windows?
Any windows, yeah, we do have to have blind, anywhere where there is windows, we have to have blinds and things like that, just for confidentiality purposes.
I thought the application said that there weren't going to be any exterior changes.
It doesn't, yeah, it doesn't look like it.
So even for fire safety purposes, don't you have to have two means of egress? So you've got to have a door you can go out and a window you can go out. It's the second
Not in a
way.
sprinkled building, you don't, no.
This isn't going to be sprinkled?
It is sprinkled,
It
but.
is sprinkled,
yeah,
but you don't have to have two if it's sprinkled?
Correct, that was what I meant to say, yeah.
Where are you proposing the fenced-in outdoor?
I mean, so we would like to do it out back, just a small little fenced-in area off of a back door. That way, a lot of the people that are going through this smoke cigarettes, and we just want to have a private area where they don't have to, where we can maintain confidentiality.
So why didn't you put that on the site plan?
No, just, I don't know, at the time, it was a very fast-moving project to get into to see you guys, and I think at that point, it just wasn't put on the plan.
So obviously within our purview, that was talked about, the residential recovery facility is what really the scope of the project is. Is that correct, Betsy? The clinically managed residential treatment program, the ASAM level 3.7 medically monitored withdrawal management, the detox program, that's not under our purview, from my understanding, correct?
It's a medical clinic.
So,
Because they outline that, they say the 3.5 clinically managed residential treatment and the ASAM levels 3.7 medically monitored. The detox facility is the 3.7.
so my understanding is the IOP area is the medical clinic.
Okay.
The detox area is the nursing home.
Yeah. Nursing home.
Yeah, that's, code enforcement has made that determination as to what the land uses are, and that's their code enforcement's job
My
to
wife's
figure
worked
these
at-
out.
I mean, my wife's worked at a nursing home and worked at a facility that does detox. And I'm going to tell you, they're completely different in terms of their scope, in terms of how it's, the operations are completely different. So I think that there needs to be a conversation about, is this a nursing home?
Thank you, Ben. Just for moving forward, knowing that we're hung up on kind of putting a, I don't know, square peg in a round hole here, is there, where code has determined this type to be in this box of nursing home, is that how it is, or is that something that could be opened and amended for conversation, or does that not happen? This is what it is, and we need to adapt. I guess I'm just looking to see how we move forward.
Right, yeah, so code enforcement has made the determination that that's what that portion of the applicant's proposal is a nursing home. It's, I guess, if somebody, I'm getting a lot of messages from code enforcement.
It's okay to look. It seems we need them.
Oh, yes. So I guess if the planning board felt that there was a different land use that the applicant is proposing, then we would review it under that standard, based on what code enforcement was looking at from the definition and what our, what our land uses are in our ordinance and what they're proposing. That was where it
only
fell,
option.
according to code
The
enforcement.
only options.
Bob?
What I'd like to see happen tonight on this thing, I don't see this thing being resolved tonight, but I would like to see that public comments and that all this come out now tonight so people can be prepared for the next meeting that comes. So questions can be answered, things can be seen on that stuff. So again, I'd like to hear the public comments, go to the stuff, get all the comments that we have, and we go from there, and we'll make a decision whether to table or deny or move on.
Just have one.
Andy?
If we did determine that maybe it felt better under a medical clinic, that's still a permitted use.
Correct.
We wouldn't review that, correct?
Correct, yeah. Medical clinics are permitted use. There's, yeah.
And part of this may fit that category.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could read, the definition of medical clinic as well. I mean, medical clinics wouldn't have overnight.
Yeah.
So, so offices of 2 or more state of Maine licensed practitioners of the healing arts which occupy the same building but which share ownership, management, operations, or staff.
Excuse me, did you
So it
just say
doesn't-
medical would not have any overnight stays?
You know,
What
that's
is the
interesting. It
hospital
doesn't say that in the
classified
definition,
as?
though, does it? Yeah. In the old definition, it did.
They do both.
But
Are you saying, Mandy,
I'm
hospital?
just curious, like, what, I guess the hospital would be listed as, because they do inpatient and outpatient,
And resident,
kind of a
well,
mixed.
they have overnight.
It's a good point.
yeah, so a hospital,
You have physicians, correct?
Good, okay.
Providers.
hospitals, institutions licensed by the State Department of Health providing primary health services and medical or surgical care to persons, primarily inpatients, suffering from illness, disease, injury, deformity, and other abnormal physical or mental conditions, and including as an integral part of the institution related facilities such as laboratories, outpatient facilities, or training facilities.
But you're not licensed by the Department of Health, correct?
I don't believe.
Didn't it say
Yeah.
that?
No.
It's licensing and certification, it's all part of what same department.
Okay,
I know we're not reviewing.
yeah.
Really,
I agree with
great
Bob, though. I'd like
questions.
to hear
Yeah.
everybody's comments and
yeah.
So
figure
it's.
out what to do.
Yeah. So thanks for doing what you were asked to do.
I know.
It seems like
I
there are
don't
deeper
disagree with
questions.
you at all. I definitely get where you're coming from.
Yeah, so it just seems to be, wanting to make a good fit. So if something like this comes up again, we don't just agree without the questions being asked. And, but thank you for doing your part. Does anyone else have any questions as it relates to the ask, even though it doesn't necessarily fit what we? Yes, go ahead, Kathy.
I have a question about the implementation. According to the people who are running the restaurant, they have a lease agreement that goes through the end of July, and they're being asked to leave now. Is that in our purview to say that they don't have right title and interest to implement this until that lease is over? Can they just kick them out for?
The purchase and sale agreement says, because I looked at this that the seller has to give the tenant a 60-day notice to vacate from the date of the purchase and sale agreement, which was February 6th.
How does that correspond to having a lease that goes to July 31st unless there's something in the lease that allows them to terminate it early for some reason? And is that our
No.
business? It isn't.
I'll just add, though,
It's not.
the sellers communicated to us that there isn't one.
Say that again.
The sellers communicated to us that there isn't a lease through July, that there is not.
There isn't?
Yeah, that was what was communicated to us. I haven't seen any evidence to the
The
contrary.
owners are here for the restaurant, so maybe they can provide some information.
Any other questions? Okay. You. Because we can't hear back here. We, sure. Thank you. All right. You will have the last word. We'll hear from the public. So what we'll do, knowing that there's a large number of people here.
I have one more question about the plan while the engineer's here.
Oh, go ahead.
The outline here of the space, it's so small, I can't identify where meal preparation would happen.
That's fine.
Or offices versus the rooms. I mean,
Sure. Yeah, I can give a better clarification. The plan that you see up on the screen is a conceptual one that we started. We have one that's a little more defined now, but to answer your question about meal prep, it's in the orange section right above where the hand is right there. There's a kitchen
I
there.
see. It says
There are offices out towards for the orange piece, the rooming section. There are offices to the right, on the right side of the plan for that part of the facility. And for the detox area, which is in the bottom right-hand corner, there are offices in that bottom right-hand corner where the rest of the rooms are individual units. In the IOP on the top piece of the plan, a lot of those are all offices. There are some larger rooms for group therapy discussion, but a lot of those are individual offices.
where do people eat?
There is if you go back to that kitchen, Betsy, to the left there, you'll see some rectangles there. There's some tables there for eating.
For 40 people?
Well, in that section, there's 26. If you go back to the detox, there's a couple tables over there for the additional people there.
I see.
I don't see any doors connecting.
There aren't any interior doors connecting these three separate phases. They are separate,
Should be.
except for the doors to the kitchen
There
to
should
service both areas.
Kathy generated a question for me. In regards, there's a catcher basins in regards to that restaurant for handling all grease traps and everything else like that. What's going to happen to that?
It's going to stay in place. There's a grease trap in place right now, obviously for the
It
restaurant.
will be used and maintained and working with the utility district and everything?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant at this?
Nope.
Okay. You will have the last word.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, so knowing the large number of people that are here, we are going to limit public comment to 2 minutes a person. And if a person has conveyed the same message that you were going to say, please come up to say, I agree with the person that just said X versus re-articulating the same statement just in respect for folks' time. We'll start by folks who are in favor of this project. Please come forward, one at a time.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Planning Board and members of the community who are here in attendance. My name is Jeremy Webster. I reside in Farmington. I work in Augusta at HFGC Recovery Network as a clinical supervisor. I am also a football official for the Augusta Board of Football Officials. I spend a lot of time in Augusta. It's a great city. It's making a lot of strides. I am here to support this endeavor And I put together some statistics from the Bureau of Justice, Maine Department of Corrections, DHHS, National Institute of Drug Abuse, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. To be quick, I chose an arbitrary number of residents who are receiving services in many different levels of care. In recovery housing and treatment in a city the size of Augusta, it produces a measurable economic, public safety, and community stability benefit. Research consistently shows that treatment and recovery housing reduce crime, lower health care utilization, and increased workforce participation. Estimated annual impact, if we have 100 individuals in recovery and treatment, is saving the criminal justice approximately $3 to $7 million annually due to the reduced arrests, incarceration, and court involvement.
You have about 10 seconds.
Healthcare savings, approximately $500,000 to $1.5 million annually from reduced emergency room visits, hospitalizations, and repeated detox admissions. Total estimated impact, $5 million to $10 million annually returned to the community in the city of Augusta.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Anybody else who would like to speak in favor?
Good evening. I'm Matt Pouliot, recovering politician. And I'm really pleased to be up here tonight to speak in favor of this application. In 2022, I got a phone call that nobody ever wants to get, and on the other end of the line was my mother. And she said, Matt, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I was like, what are you talking about, Mom? What do you mean you can't do this anymore? And my mom struggled with alcohol abuse her whole life. She's a person who's very dedicated to helping other people and oftentimes felt that she was coming up short and needed alcohol to help with that. That was her medicine. Unfortunately, as we all know, that's not a good medicine. So I went to my mom's apartment. I opened the door. There were flies everywhere. My mom had withered away to probably about 100 and something pounds. My mom won't care that I share this. Her and I talked about it earlier. It wasn't a good sight. And so I said, what do you want to do, Mom? And she's like, I want to get help. And I said, well, let's do it. And my first call actually was Courtney Allen, who ironically is now sitting behind me here today. And Courtney had just left a facility in Minnesota doing a kind of a tour of the country to learn about how we could help people who want to get help. And I didn't know much about this. I didn't know that there were not many options for people in the state of Maine when they want to get help. I'm a person who's extremely well connected. I'm able to get things done when I want to get things done. And I wanted to send my mom to detox because for those of you that don't know, detox from alcohol, if it's not done properly, you'll die. And of course, none of us want to lose our parents. So I was trying to do everything I could to find a place. There were no facilities available. But fortunately, Courtney had just left this facility in Minnesota, and there was one bed available. And I called them, and they said, hey, we'll take your mom. You need to wire us $25,000 and put her on a plane and get her here as soon as you can. So that's what I did, because there were no options in the state of Maine.
You're about 10 seconds, and I know it's a
Yeah.
compelling story.
I'm going to go over. I hope you don't mind. So I did that, and I sent my mom to get the help that she needed. And thank God today, my mom is doing well. She's in recovery. She's living right here in Augusta now. And she is the happiest person when she's making lunch for her fellow residents in the 10-unit building that she lives in on an almost weekly basis now. And had it not been for that outpatient treatment facility, the Betty Ford facility, which is the best in the nation, my mom would not be here today, I'm sure of it. And I wouldn't be smarter about what it is that's going on with this mental illness that is addiction. I learned a lot through that process. And these facilities are desperately needed in the state of Maine. I don't know where this is going to fit in, round peg, square hole, in terms of a use, but I would just encourage this board to approve this facility somehow in this city, and I know that we can come together to do that. A final note, I'm on the Augusta Board of Trade, and I know you may be hearing from them later in opposition to this. I'm in support of this, and I've also talked to other people that are in the business park. One that I'm representing at 60 Darren Drive. You'll soon see that
We'll give you 15 more
property for
seconds,
lease.
just because there's a lot of
And
folks.
Bob Davis is not in opposition to this at all. In fact, when we were there looking at his property last week, he said maybe this could be something that the gentleman that's living out back in the tent could have available for a service, so they don't have
Thanks,
to live in
Matt.
the
Thank
back
you,
of the
Matt.
property anymore. So I appreciate you all, your time and graciousness of me going over tonight. This is desperately needed in our state.
Thank you.
And my mom wanted to share her story with all of you, and so I made sure that that would happen tonight.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Good evening, everybody. My name is John, and I currently work doing community growth with housing for God's children. I wish I was up here earlier. I could have been able to help mitigate some of the questions you guys are asking. I think some of the confusion falls around how and where these things are going to fit together. But what it is that's being proposed is a continuum of care, right? Oftentimes, we try to solve the problems with substance use disorder by minor Band-Aids here, there, and everywhere, right? But there's bleeding in between. The facility that's being proposed would be as soon as you are ready to enter treatment, you would enter the detox area. Thank you for asking the questions that are important. I know you do a lot of work with mental health and substance use. So the detox facility will have 24/7 clinical medical staff. It'll be separate from all of the other departments with fire doors that are locked, right? These people are there medically detoxing, and as recovering politician Pouliot had mentioned, it's very serious, right? People can die. If you're coming off of alcohol and benzos, you can die, right? You need to be seen by medical professionals 24/7. The reason why it's classified as a nursing home is because of the language, and I think I might be mistaken, but is because of the fact that it has 24-hour staffing by nurses. So no matter what, it'll always have an RN, some level of nurse to be able to provide vitals, provide medications due to whatever they're withdrawing from. The other portions of the houses, the reason why those numbers seem so high in the overall number.
20 seconds.
Ah, that stinks.
Keep going, keep going. You got it.
All 40 people will not be eating at the same time. The other people in the part of the house will be able to engage in treatment and eat with their families, once they get that part of the recovery back. The purpose of this is so that we don't lose people in between the gaps, right? Trying to get them from detox into sober living, into rehab, and all of these things, they come back out in the streets.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else who'd like to speak for?
Hello, I'm Kevin LeClaire. I live at 384 Water Street here in Augusta. In October, I tried to drink myself to death in a very small room because I had given up on life. So shortly after that, I went to the hospital for a week, and then I went to a detox center in Bangor because there was no other place to go. And fortunately, by the grace of God, I ended up here in Augusta with Housing for God's Children. And I belong to the IOP group that's part of the recovery process for all of us. Some of my brothers and sisters are here. Their level of IOP and the clinicians there are truly wonderful because they do not just make you do paperwork. They make you look at the mental side of your obsession, cravings, your own personal matters, not just get you through the door for 4 months, get you a slap of a graduation letter and send you out the door packing. They have a long-term plan and goals and opportunities to allow such people that are afflicted with the desperation of trying to get somewhere in life, an opportunity to succeed. We have done a lot for the community regarding volunteerism and outreach towards the betterment of this whole city. A lot of us volunteer at Fresh Start, the Access Center, the Link Center. I cook there twice a week. I cook them breakfast. The level of support that we've been shown has been tremendous. And this opportunity here for the city of Augusta, the state capital, will go a long way towards a broader community outlook throughout the state of Maine, and it is greatly needed. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you, and thanks for sharing your
Thanks for
story.
sharing.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor? Is there anybody who'd like to speak against?
Hello, my name is Sammy. I live in Augusta. I'm not really against a detox unit, but I am a retired nurse who has worked in behavioral health and chemical dependency for 15 years. I was here when Kennebec Valley Medical Center opened their first behavioral health in 1977. And I was there when they opened up the detox unit in 1992. We were the first dual diagnosis unit in the state of Maine. So I do have some history with that. I have some concerns about having a medical director. This was all in a hospital setting. I've also worked in Philadelphia and in Chicago for their detox units. And the concern I have is to make sure that there is a medical director, because as other people have said, you could die detoxing from alcohol if it's not treated properly. You need to have a medical director, you've got to have the right medications, you have to have services beyond that. Also, when I was working, insurances gave you 3 days to detox, and then they said you were out. So rehab is really very important because it's not only a physiological, but it's also a psychological dependence. I also agree with, I don't know her name, but she mentioned the lack of windows in the place. That's very important. If you do any sort of studies, you know how important the environment is for well-being. Hospitals that have windows that look out into an open space is much different than being in a city hospital where you're looking at a stone wall, a
10
brick
seconds.
wall. So I do have concerns about the way it might be run at this point. And I really came here originally to support the restaurant. But after hearing what this is, I needed to express my concerns about the facility and the way it's lined up. I don't know where these all classifications of nursing home and what other things you were talking about, but I just, having worked 15 years in behavioral health and chemical dependency, I do have some concerns.
Thank you, Sammy.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak against the project?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Reagan La Rochelle. I live in Augusta, and I am here in my role as Executive Director of the Augusta Board of Trade to express some concerns about the rooming house proposal of this proposed project. I have to say that after hearing the presentation, I'm a little more confused about what exactly the rooming house portion entails, but I am going to go under the assumption that this is a residential use that is being introduced into our industrial district in Augusta, and that's really where the concern from the Board of Trade lies. I will also say that the Augusta Board of Trade is a 501c4 business trade organization whose mission is to promote economic development and investment in the city of Augusta, and that's usually by supporting our businesses. And I will say, another caveat, we do have some members of the Board of Trade who are city employees and elected officials. They did not participate in this conversation or my expression of our concerns, so I just want to make that clear that this is, does not include those individuals, members of the Board of Trade. The Board of Trade originally was a critical factor in creating this industrial park. And as you are well aware, industrial property, zoned industrial, needs specific things, which include large lots, big buildings, and access, in this case, to the interstate, so or transportation. So an industrial use cannot simply go anywhere. And in Augusta, we have a very small percentage of industrially zoned property as compared to our larger lands, which is why there's a concern about introducing residential into that. In fact, the DECD, the Department of Economic and Community Development, has put out an industrial needs analysis that shows through 2029, industrial property will be sought after. How many?
Just 15.
15 seconds. So will be sought after, especially in Kennebec County region and also around the state. I guess I'll cut right to it saying that the Board of Trade is concerned about detrimental effects on the value or the impact of industrial properties, introducing residential into that. We did not see that there was a study or data that the applicant provided that showed that there would not be detrimental effects. And along with that, whether industrial occupants would be interested in moving into an industrial park that had residential use in it. So those are our concerns. And I thank you for your attention.
Yes, go ahead, Allison.
Reagan, so what I'm hearing you say is the Board of Trade is not against the use at all. They're against the placement of the use in industrial. Is that right?
We are concerned, and again, I heard a lot of information at the beginning and just to understand, I'm defining this as residential. The introduction of residential use into an industrially zoned property, not at all
About the project.
not at all about the project. Much needed. Think that the medically zoned portion of the city would be a more appropriate place for that, not industrial.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak against the project? Okay. Is there anybody who'd like to speak neither for nor against? Sure.
Enoch Benjamin Petroselli, and I just wanted to reiterate the importance of windows because I have lived in a facility for a number of years when I was younger, and it is very hard to recover if you can't even see out your window and feel the breeze hit you in the face and see the trees. It's very hard to be okay in those kind of environments. I know the intent is good, and I really appreciate that about what they are recommending. And another thing about it that I think people miss is who owns the land. And I say that because your intent as a landowner affects the energy of the property. I know it's kind of not something that's typically discussed, but I have experience in those areas of how energy affects environments. The owner of the land affects the land and the authority of the people on that land by default. If you look behind the veils, it's kind of how it goes. So I just wanted to add that, and I'm not for or against it, but if it's to be done, I really would like to see it done correctly and not rushed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak neither for nor against?
Excuse me. Hello, planning board members. My name is Courtney Gary Allen. I'm here to speak. I'm actually here to speak in favor of it. I missed the last cutoff. Is that okay with all of you?
Is everybody?
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm here as the executive director of MIRAP. You all know me also as an Augusta City Councilor at large. I am here representing my organization and our network. We are here to speak in favor of this proposal for a few different reasons. One, as you've heard tonight, that detox is one of the most critical parts of the recovery journey. I want to say that we have been asking for, begging for, fighting for a detox here in the city of Augusta for almost a decade since I entered my own recovery process, since I was able to help Matt's mom, and that was not staged. I just walked in, and I want to thank Matt for his recognition on that. So one, detox is very important. Two, I also want to recognize that the industrial complex, I believe one of the first applications that you reviewed tonight was about a parcel within the industrial complex, and that it was being switched to a solar, the ability for solar panels to be there. I would submit to the board that solar panels are important, and so is this project. And so, in my view, that we should do both of those things, and that if solar project is an applicable use within that, I would say that the detox is as well, and is just as important as both of those things, and is a great use for the industrial complex.
20 seconds.
I'm just going to say that I value this project. I see its worth in our city. I also want to say one more thing. I am also sad that the Chinese restaurant is not going to be there anymore. I have a personal love for the Chinese restaurant. My mom and I went there for lunch for many, many, many years. And I know that I'm going to be losing that with the community as well. And I know that the Chinese restaurant is working to find a new building, and I'm really hopeful that happens. But I recognize the sadness that's coming from losing one of our beloved restaurants, and hope that we can find a new location for them and be able to prioritize both business and access to recovery support services in the city of Augusta.
Thank you, Courtney.
Ask a question?
Yes, Kathy has a question.
I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
Would you be willing to work with us to find an appropriate definition for this type of project so that we have
Absolutely.
appropriate performance standards that will relate to it?
Are you asking me that in my role as a counselor or as a professional?
Well, both, because one works with the other.
Yes. I would love to have that conversation at a council level and discuss it with my fellow counselors. But personally, I would be in tune with helping to figure that out with you.
Thank you, Courtney.
You're welcome.
Is there anybody else who'd like to speak neither for nor against? All right, it sounds like
I can give people 5 more minutes apiece.
we have the upshot, I believe. The applicant, feel free to come back up for your last closing statements here, and then we'll deliberate as a board.
I'm a little confused. You weren't up there speaking for the applicant one in the beginning. Are you part of the applicant?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
There was only 3 chairs and the team couldn't choose who. So I was like, I'll go at the end.
If we need more chairs, we'll get more chairs.
I agree. Thank you. Should have worked.
So hearing a few comments about lack of windows, wanting a little bit more information on the operations of this project, concern with the residential use in an industrial district, as well as increased information on potential value impact if residential is introduced in an industrial parkway. So those seem to be a few different comments that came up, and I did group under operational the concerns as it relates to the medical use supervision. Is this the right spot? All that sort of conversation. So I called that operational. That might, so please divulge if I picked a poor word choice, but those kind of seem to be some common themes that folks had. If you'd like to at least start with some of those to speak to the public.
Thank you so much for asking that. I don't think anybody here would negate the fact that this probably isn't 100% ideal, right? As you've heard from other people before, it's extremely needed here in Augusta. Would I want beautiful windows in everyone? Yeah, I agree, absolutely. Understanding the fact that zoning is very tough here in Augusta, that's the reason why the words are confusing. I've gotten text messages just sitting here tonight. Why do they keep calling it a rooming house? Stop. That's just what it's called. That's not what we call it. It's not what we call the people that stay in it. There are neighbors, there are friends, there are, whatever you want to call it. But the fact is these are people that we want to get back to their families, back to being, their healthiest self that's possible. To address, what was the other,
Operational use, like the medical operations, how this.
Yep. So the way that it works here would be handled through licensing, through DHS and OBH. They're the ones that handle the licensing. So per portion of the projected project would be handled under each specific licensing. It would meet the qualifications, not necessarily at the city names and definitions, because they're not going to call it rooming. They're not going to call it what the city's zoning is, right? They're not going to call it industrial. They're going to call it a licensed detox. They're going to call it a 3.5 is the other portion, right? The 3.7 under the main gov, if you can go on it, I was doing research when I was back there, is the exact definition of what the detox will be providing, and it will be licensed through the state of Maine. It'll have the OBH oversight, and I believe Joe has been in constant contact with them, and they're approved so far with what we've presented.
Yes.
Good. Yeah.
I just want to touch on a little thing he's kind of touched on there too, is the term residential or nursing home or rooming house. Those aren't our terms. That we don't necessarily agree with those terms, but those are just the closest term that we're being told fits what we're doing, even though we don't. That would not be the terms we would select if it were up to us.
We told the city what we would be doing, what we would be providing based on those services is where it fell. Am I correct? Yeah. So that's the reason why, and that's where it gets confusing. I can also see why people would be confused that there's 3 different things in one building, right? But that's the part of the continuum of care. Usually what happens now, somebody's here in Augusta, they want to get help, they can't find it, or they get sent really far away. When you're done on your last day of detox, you need to stay stable, healthy, and in a good environment. Most of the time, it's really hard to go right from there to that. We're trying to give that immediate care so there's no transition where you fall through the cracks.
I just want to say, I think the thought behind this project is really good. I just want to make sure it's in the right place in the city and that we have appropriate performance standards for such a project. And if there's anything that we need to change as a city to do that, I'd be willing to be the first one up to volunteer to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could go back over again, like Emily was saying, the medical service director concerned, exactly go through that stuff. People on board 24 hours a day, all the stuff is information. Does that tie to the license? The license, does that require all that stuff to be in place on everything?
So there's a rigorous process in order to get licensed. So you need a medical doctor, psychiatrists, social workers, registered nurses. This is just for the detox. And then there will be overnight staff such as CRMAs. Yep. So there are many licenses. Everyone that's there will be licensed and it will be reviewed by the licensing board.
Second, do when they're going for licenses, have you ever heard them denying a license because there's no windows in the rooms that the people are staying?
That would be more of a code enforcement thing that they would go by, or fire safety, really. That wouldn't be so much their expertise.
Okay.
So they're just going over the programming.
And that does meet the code, our code right now, is what's being projected.
That they don't have physical plant requirements for residential treatment.
They're going to go based off of code enforcement's requirements. We just had a meeting with them the other week.
Who did you talk to?
OBH, DHHS,
I
the
bet I mean an
DLC.
individual.
I can't remember their name off the top of my head. We had a meeting with like 7 individuals 4 different times now about it.
Thank you. Mandy?
I just wanted to say something. I'm a nurse practitioner at the hospital. I was an ER nurse for 7 years, dealing with a lot of patients going through a lot of this. And just from my perspective and experience, to get licensed for this, it's very, very strict. They have to have medical providers and probably in more of an abundance of medical staff than you think you would even need. So I don't know if that puts anyone's mind at ease, but it's very extensive. That you have a license.
It is very, yes, it is. And that's the reason why nobody has done it, right? If you ask DHS and the Office of OBH, they put out millions of dollars in RFPs last year. They did it in Washington County, up in northern Maine. All over the state of Maine, they're throwing these out because it's needed. Nobody grabbed them. I'm really grateful to work with a group of people that's willing to step up, probably take a hit financially, because Maine Care also doesn't pay back at the rate that it deserves, that it's needed. But it's needed here. Augusta does not have a detox. It does not. You can go to the hospital and medically detox, but we don't have a standalone detox. Ben?
Just have a question regarding, obviously, Maine Care doesn't pay back at the rate it should. And Matt alluded to his mother having to go to Minnesota and the huge need of detox facilities. The people who are detoxing at these facilities, who are they? Where do they come from? Can they be from out of state? Do they have to have Maine residency? What does that look like?
So some individuals will be scholarshiped where they don't need Maine residency to come in. A vast majority of our clients will have Maine Care and be Maine residents. But like right now, we run a Section 65 program. Some of those individuals are scholarshiped in, so they don't even have Maine Care. But a vast majority of them do.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask a follow-up?
Sure.
Maine residency is very low. We have one of the lowest standards for residencies in the country. What do you mean by that? Are these folks who are living here currently?
So some individuals will come from like an out-of-state rehab into our program currently. So, we will take individuals from out of state if they call us and ask for help.
What's your estimation of the percentage, if you can estimate?
10%.
Thank you.
Yep.
That's perfect.
Nate?
Thank you.
So just looking at these plans, is there any reason why you're not closing off the detox versus the rehab and you're letting everybody intermingle, or?
So they don't intermingle
So,
the spaces.
so is there actually a wall that's closing it off?
Correct.
Okay, the
correct.
plan just
It has
doesn't,
to by license.
None of the 3 programs intermingle with one another.
just the plans just don't show it very well.
The only spot that has any, so the kitchen has the kitchen staff will has a door to go into the detox and has a door to go into the 3.5. So like they're the only one that has access to both sides. But outside of that, there's no way to get through.
Just as like a main entrance, is everybody gonna be sharing the main entrance?
No,
So
separate
everybody,
entrances
each department will have its own main entrance and exit and.
Correct.
Does anyone have any other questions for the app? Go ahead.
I wanted to follow up on one of the other parts of your initial question, was that, based on my understanding from the review, the city engineers said that there would not be a negative impact to the property values due to this. Am I correct? Was that in there?
No.
They didn't believe it would?
No, I say it's,
Not in,
I think it's not, I mean, it's up to the planning board to decide if they feel that there could be an impact
Okay, I
to.
thought that it had stated in there that they didn't believe it would.
Tyler's here. Sure, come on up, Tyler. See if you said what you said.
I know it definitely talked about the less impact.
Tyler P., city engineer. I don't review property values as part of my review, so it may have been a negative impact statement about traffic.
Correct.
Would be the only thing I would have commented on for any type of impact like that.
Okay, that must have been what it was.
Yep.
Sorry.
Thanks, Tyler.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Tyler?
No.
All right.
I'm not far.
As the applicant, do you have any other statements you'd like to share with us? It seems like we have other things we need to talk about too beyond like what you've presented. You presented what was asked of you, so thank you for doing that. But do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No, just I really appreciate you guys' time and consideration, and that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And thanks for doing what you do. So if everyone's okay, is it good that we close now and deliberate as a board? Any other questions for, okay. You may have a seat in the audience. And that will close the public hearing portion, and we'll start discussion. Kathy?
I think what they're trying to do is admirable. I'm just afraid that the city's performance standards for what categories we have in place are just not adequate. And I think we should just sit back and look at it and say, what do we want to welcome these types of programs into our environment?
Thank you. Allison?
Well, Kathy, I was just going to follow up on what you just said. Hypothetically, is that something that we potentially could do tonight in terms of conditions that would help these folks better understand what you're trying to get at? Because
I don't think so, because I think what we need to do is figure out what we as a city want for performance standards. And I don't know if we could come to an agreement on that tonight as a list of conditions. I think we got a lot of information. Some of it was very difficult for everybody to understand. I mean, when we talk about ASAM categories and different types of licensed facilities, some license a program, some license programs within facilities. And I think that if we have a little bit of time, I don't think it would take much to come up with a category that would fit these types of programs much better. I mean, look at what we've been through with low barrier shelters. We had one definition of a shelter, and the low barrier shelter really didn't fit as far as performance standards, what we wanted. And so we took the time to step back and do what we needed to do as a city. And I think for this particular project, we need to do the same approach.
Betsy, can I ask your opinion? Yeah, or input?
I was just going to say that we have an application based on the standards we have today. You know, it's not on some standards that we can create later. So we're going to use the framework of the conditional use standards for the application, I guess. If it seems, you know, the planning board feels that code enforcement has made an error in rooming house.
I don't think it's an error. I don't want you to misconstrue that.
Oh, no.
They worked with what we had to find the best spot for it.
Right.
And what I said was, I don't think that's adequate.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I think there could.
This isn't a criticism of them.
Yeah. No, I guess there could be, I'm just saying that if what you heard tonight seemed like it fell under something different, you could say, oh, well, no, maybe this really is something else, you know, and review it that way. But, I mean, I guess that's up to the board. But also, yeah, so we're reviewing it with these standards, these conditional use standards. So if there's something, you know, that about the rooming house that we're reviewing that seems like it could be some condition on there to make it more, like to fit into the environment more, or, you know, whatever the concerns are, that if it seems like one of these standards isn't being met, or more standards aren't being met, either a condition could be added to it that the planning board feels like would bring it into, meet the standards of the ordinance, or, you know, if it doesn't feel like it could be met, then I guess the board needs to give a reason as to why the standard isn't met, so. But yeah, I mean, there could be, obviously, as I said, a future discussion, you know, about some of these definitions, and if maybe we need more definitions in performance standards, but that's a different day.
So what you're saying is the applicant did what they did based on what we had for city rules, and this is what we have for an application right now. So even if we tabled, it's an inappropriate thing to do because we'd table it for something that doesn't exist at the time of their application.
Yeah, I mean, I think tabling would be, you would need more information based on some of these conditional use standards, and that was not provided tonight.
Fair. Okay, so, Kevin.
So overall, I think it's a great project. I understand the questions relate to the terminology used, but I think a lot of it really just boils down to what the actual definitions are versus, I understand the term nursing home doesn't really feel right, but based on our definition, maybe it does, but.
Okay. What's your, for the project,
I'm in favor of it, yeah.
Ben?
In terms of like conditional use review, I think neighborhood compatibility is definitely something that needs to be further considered, especially the piece about it having a residential use. And this is a predominantly industrial zone, so, and I understand the mindset behind the project with the continuum of care. I think that's very good. But from a neighborhood compatibility standpoint, I'm just concerned about the piece of residential and industrial and what that does with neighborhood compatibility. And then there's a lack of studies. I've looked into it, residential and industrial zones. There's a lot of studies on like industrial and residential spaces, but not the other way around. So that's the property valuation and decrease piece that we have to review. So that's kind of, my concern is specifically neighborhood compatibility and property valuation.
Ben?
I'm in favor of the project. And I mentioned that I don't know if we're going to see it determined tonight. I think that will only come from a vote when it happens. The property values, what they're looking for in our write-up was a proposal is not anticipated to have a detrimental effect on the value of the adjacent properties. That was just part of that section that goes into the neighborhood compatibility on it. I have no problem with residential rooming house in this area that they have out there. I feel the need is out there. We're not here to determine how somebody sells a property or who's going to be in that property and everything else. I think I've heard also that the licensing, the 3.5, 3.7 that they have to go for the definitions of what they're doing is very strict, and they have to be met with many different territories. I believe the applicant came together, he did this stuff, he met with the city, he met with the other people. They were going on the definitions that they have, and it was determined by the city that they have out there. I would be in favor of bringing back something that we can look at in the future, but I don't want to use that now on this particular project on it. It'd be one for future discussions. So I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you. Mandy?
Sorry, I'm going to choke. I am very, very in favor of this project. I think it's amazing for this city and the state to do all of this in one place so residents can go there and stay there through the whole process. I'm excited about it. And I do think that we do need to review the terminology, mostly because I hope you guys come back with more plans of more facilities like this, so we have a better head start on that next time.
Can I ask you a question? What would you think of having this land use be considered medical as opposed to rooming house and nursing home?
Well, I think, for me, it's tough because I think there's, the majority of the components of this are very medical. The rooming house, when they're kind of on that other end of it, I don't believe they receive much medical care. I mean, they, have some supervision and things. So I guess I don't know how you would combine that into one building. But I think, and I may be incorrect, I think the rooming house, I don't believe is actually a medical facility.
They're getting services as part of
But
that.
it's essentially,
Med management.
it's, yeah. So I guess it's just a different level of care. So I don't know that it should be labeled a rooming house. I agree, but I'm not sure how much
Or a
of
nursing home.
medical facility. Yeah.
Or a nursing home, yeah.
I'm definitely going to do a lot of research on this. I've written a lot of notes tonight to kind of see where this should fall in place.
And what performance standards the city should require.
In the future, yes.
Nate?
I am also in favor of this project. Applicants done the best they could with city staff to kind of, as Emily stated, put a square peg in a round hole. I mean, you're kind of limited to what we have for definitions to work with. I do think we do need some more review to find a correct definition of something for the city. But all in all, I'm in favor of the project.
Thank you. I'm going to come back to Allison
Yeah.
and Kathy too. So Allison?
Yeah, I don't feel we should penalize these folks because we don't have a category that doesn't exactly get at what they are attempting to do. I really don't. I think that I have a great deal of faith in them as an organization. I'm impressed that they would like to put another facility in Augusta and a detox on top of that. I would like to give them the chance to do so.
Thank you, Allison.
With this project.
This project.
Kathy, do you have an opinion or change of opinion from what you previously
Well,
stated?
I'm still trying to process it. I go back to the example of the shelter and the expectations from the community about what those shelters should provide. And we're talking about a very medically complex population here who are going to share probably many attributes that the folks that we've been talking about for low barrier shelters who are in addiction have, and we're talking about taking people who are addicted, who we've had other projects where that's been an issue for neighborhood compatibility, that I think this similarly could have that potential.
Thank you.
I just want to, I think that just by us categorizing this as a rooming house for this use is not going to in any way alter the care that they're getting there or their
Unless we
licensing.
had performance
or-
standards that needed to
Yeah,
change.
but from their aspect of it,
Yes.
Yeah.
I think they'd be willing to do pretty much anything that we ask them to do with that regard.
And the applicant has done what was asked of them, and they came today and presented what was asked. So is there any further discussion that's different from what has already been discussed? New discussion?
Yeah, I just have a point of,
Pardon?
okay, go ahead.
Oh,
first.
go ahead, because I'm going to make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, Ben.
So I'm just conflicted. I feel that personally I need more information, especially in regards to the neighborhood compatibility piece. And also, we haven't even talked about financial ability. Like, that hasn't been in any of our discussions. And I mean, even the applicant spoke to, like, yeah, main care doesn't pay its fair share, doesn't pay on time. You know, you have hospitals in this state that can't pay their bills. They're being bailed out by the federal government.
They do have a purchase and sale agreement, and they
Yeah.
can't buy it if they don't have the money for it.
I mean, we haven't, do they have a letter?
They have a contract.
Right.
They have an effective contract, and if the deal breaks, they can't buy it.
So our standard has been, let me ask you, so our standard has been, you need a letter in the past stating you have the financial capability, and we've been very, very clear about that in the past. Is there anything in the application regarding financial ability and their capability to run this facility?
They must have had to present it to the seller in order for there to be an effective agreement. The contract is a contract. And if they don't, I hear what you're saying, that we've asked someone else for a letter, but they didn't have a,
Do we know?
Should we waive the standard for other applicants?
I think it's a
That's-
different
We're not here to discuss other applicants, Ben, please.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're saying they don't need a letter right now.
We're
But
not here.
we asked earlier for a letter of financial support from Flycatchers and the solar
This
project.
is not
it's
Flycatchers,
not the
Ben.
same.
Betsy, was there anything additional that we didn't see pertaining to financial?
I would say there's a statement in the application that says the applicant HFGC Recovery Network has a proposed lease agreement to utilize the space as a detox and rehabilitation center. Newman Homes is a well-known builder in the community and have extensive experience. The renovations of the building are all interior to the building, therefore they will have no issue meeting the financial capabilities of the project. So, I mean, I think if the board is looking for more information, they should probably talk to the applicant.
I think it sounds like they're going to do the renovations themselves as a leasehold.
Any other comments, questions? Yeah, is it just, I have a question. It's cool if the applicant comes up.
Sure.
Sure, thank you.
You have that right.
Yes, okay.
So we did receive a letter from Main Street Capital. I don't know if you had received it, but essentially saying that we had financial capability to do it. Also, when you put it under the purchase and sale agreement, there's a large escrow payment that's done, and we are planning to close the week of the 6th of April.
I trust your word.
So I just figured I'd give you that extra little bit of information.
Okay. And we can talk about that being a condition of approval,
What?
that the letter be submitted from, is it Main Street Financial?
Main Street Capital.
Capital,
Main
yes,
Street
okay.
Capital.
Thank you.
We could add that,
Yep.
just to make sure that we have it in the file, Brandon.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, Brenda.
I'd like to make a motion on this project pursuant to the provisions of the City of Augusta Land Use Ordinance. The City of Augusta Planning Board has considered the application of HFEC Recovery Network, Brandon LaBridge, including supportive data, staff review comments, public hearing testimony, and related materials contained in the record. The Planning Board makes the following findings of facts, conclusion of law. The project description is the applicant proposes a rooming house, conditional use for up to 13 individuals within a portion of an existing building. It's 13 rooms, not 13
Correct.
individuals,
Or-
right?
Or 26
Right.
individuals, yes.
13 rooms, up to 26 residents within a portion of the existing building. Changes proposed to the site include changing light fixtures to full cutoff, designated accessible parking spaces, a walkway along the east of the building, and adding landscaping in the parking lot and along the roadways. Other proposed uses in the building do not require a planning board review, as they are permitted uses, which include intensive outpatient, IOP, rehab facility, medical clinic, substance abuse detox, nursing home, and Newman Homes, finance, insurance, and real estate services. The applicant is HFGC Recovery Network, Brandon Brandon. Right title interest is purchase and sale agreement between Brandon and the Augusta Realty Company. The owner is Augusta Realty Company. Location is 1 Anthony Avenue. The zoning is industrial, IA, tax map number 5A, lot 61A. Existing land use is restaurant. The proposed land use is rooming house, conditional use. Medical clinic permitted, nursing home permitted, finance, insurance, and real estate services permitted on 2.5 acres record. In view of the above actions and the application to supporting documentation of the record, the planning board makes a final conclusion of law. Therefore, the planning board hereby approves the application of HFGC Recovery Network Brandon Bridge as described in the findings above, with the following additional findings, and pardon me for murdering your name. Additional finding is none. The following conditions shall be met prior to an issuance of permit from the Code Enforcement Bureau in order to satisfy land use ordinance criteria and planning board requirements. 1, building mounted inside lighting shall be full cutoff to meet the ordinance standards per section 300-603E6D. Dumpsters shall be placed with inside enclosures to meet the ordinance standards per section 300-603E1A6. Landscape plan with plant types, qualities, and sizes shall be provided to the Planning Bureau for approval, section 300-603E1A6 and section 300-603E6E. Number 4, what was that you wanted?
Submit a letter from
Just the
Main Street
letter.
Capital.
From
A
Main
funding
Street
letter
Capital.
approved, submitted and approved by city staff prior to building. Is there going to be a building permit?
Main Street Capital.
Prior to them
Shouldn't
beginning
put
the
the
Right.
name.
For any funding.
Very good, prior to them beginning the project. The project should commence within 2 years of its approval and should be substantially completed within 5 years of the date of the planning board decision, unless a permit extension has been granted by the board. Deviation from this approval is subject to code enforcement action and potential legal proceedings per section 300-601 of the land use ordinance.
Second.
Mandy? Any further discussion?
Yeah. Yes, I would just like to say, I feel very strongly that it's not fair of us to change the rules midstream. I think we really have to give them credit for doing what we asked them to. After this goes through, we need to reevaluate our categories and get some help, as you suggested with Courtney. But I really don't feel it's fair, any level, to change things now for them.
Just a quick discussion and question. So my only concern at this point is neighborhood compatibility. And anybody who wants to answer this, who's in favor completely and wholeheartedly, why do you think that this is in alignment with neighborhood compatibility, and why should I vote yes?
We didn't hear from a single neighbor who came out and said no.
Okay.
You heard from the Board of Trade.
Not a neighbor. We didn't hear from the residences across the hall. We didn't hear from KFC. We didn't hear from J.S. McCarthy. We didn't
The
hear from the
hotel,
hotel.
or-
We didn't hear from the
Rennie.
gym that's there. I mean,
Overdore
we didn't
Company.
hear from anyone. And that was one of the things that I thought was really nice tonight. We heard positive things about why this is a plus.
And
And it wasn't not in my backyard. It wasn't any of those kinds of things. It was very nicely done, I thought, tonight.
I
So-
mean, there were some residential in the zone, in
There
the
were-
500-foot diameter?
Yes, two.
There was 2, so I mean, there are some residential in it, not many, but there is residential there.
Within the 500 feet.
Yeah, on a main road. Thank you.
And you need to vote with your heart. Go ahead.
Right, you do.
According to the zoning issues.
Yeah.
If there's no further discussion, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. For this project.
I would like to follow up on Kathy's suggestion on that thing, if we want to look at this with regards to this rooming house.
Yeah,
And
that
stuff.
Do you want to take a quick break?
No, I think
While
I'm
everybody's
overly
milling out?
noisy. It's probably
Why don't we take a
pretty
quick
annoying.
5-minute break? Because I don't know,
Yep.
we'll ask Betsy, but I don't know if she really wants to do the workshop or not, because it's not necessarily going to be final.
Right,
So-
but I did want to just quickly ask people.
Those
their
are,
thoughts.
and we still have the minutes and stuff like that. So why don't we take advantage of this?
Somebody has to ask the
But we'll do
questions.
5 minutes.
Okay.
We'll come back at quarter of.
5-minute break?
I know, I would have.
All those in that.
Yeah. All right, we're back from our break. Betsy, what are your thoughts on the workshop? I don't know what your,
Yeah, I'll just do a little brief description here. So we have a workshop on here, number 4. It's for incorporation of LD 1829 into the land use ordinance. And at the last planning board meeting, we started talking about some of these changes for ADUs. So this memo is a kind of a continuation of that, and I've put in some changes for proposes to the definition for subdivision, and all these changes are based on LD 1829, and my understanding is that there's a fix-it bill that's also still kind of happening now, and I could not get an updated language, so I'm not sure. I mean, we can talk about these updates to subdivision. Basically, it's just getting it to match the state law, so it's nothing too much to talk about here. But if you want, we could discuss this, or we could just kind of hold on to this until we get a little more information from the state as to if there are going to be changes other than what I have in here. Like, I don't want to waste we want to move forward as fast as we can to,
So we have a July 1 deadline, right?
Well, I think it might extend another year.
I like your recommendation not to do anything right now.
So,
I'm good with that.
I mean, I'm sure nobody really has many
I do.
comments.
I have some comments.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, well, only because it was inconsistent to me, and maybe you can explain why it's not. On page 2 at the top, you have subdivision. And in the first paragraph, you changed all the 3s into 5s.
I had the same question.
And then in section A, it's all about 3s again. And so I'm not sure if those need to be changed.
Several sections in here are 3s.
So there's 3 is only for the dwelling units and 5 is for, 3 is only for the lots and 5 is for the dwelling units.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
good. Well, see,
That helps.
good, that helps.
So
I
that's,
don't understand.
I know.
Okay.
It's sort of, yeah, so I think this is all pretty basic, all these edits here.
So if
But
they
there's a
mirror the
lot more that we need to do,
So
so
we can
don't
just hold
worry.
on to this, right?
Yeah.
Hold on to this very thing, and we'll move forward another time.
Yeah.
sounds good.
Yeah.
Do we have to vote on that?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
It's nothing serious. Okay. So now we have the meeting minutes. I was not here, but does anyone have any edits?
Just one.
Oh, Kathy didn't find anything?
I found an extra comma. Oh, so happy to know. On page
Thank you,
5 of
English
6, where the second time from the top that Bob speak, I will recognize Counselor, Eric Lind, who requested that the planning board discuss this topic. I think we just leave out.
It could go either way,
You think it could go either way?
because he said counselor.
But he wasn't talking to Counselor Eric Lind. Well, I don't care. You can leave it in, Betsy, if you want, but that's the only thing I found in this document.
I leave Eva the editorial authority on that.
Anybody else? Oh, go ahead.
I move we approve the amended minutes.
As amended, or not?
All in favor? Very good.
Since Harold's not here, I'll say.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, one quick thing, sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you all know that the shooting range item is not on the informational agenda this week. It'll probably be on in another 2 weeks. Counselor Lind wasn't going to be at the meeting this week, so he wanted to make sure he was going to be present when that went to council. And the other thing is our next meeting would be May 12th.
Oh, so nothing.
Nothing in April?
Nothing in April,
Oh, wow.
okay?
Oh, wow.
Are you sure that's not an April Fool's joke?
Yeah.
And then that's it. Now Kathy could take over Harold's.
Betsy, I have
Say
a
anything?
question.
Oh, whoops, oh.
Can I tell the group?
Oh. we
Yes,
have-
yes,
yes,
yes, no, yes,
I'll tell the group. Oh, go ahead, request.
Well, just, I had, this information is information that we got in the solar panel presentation. It's all the HydroCAD stuff, all the soil erosion stuff. Betsy, I can't read it and understand it. I would suggest that they present it because Tyler needs it, absolutely, but I would suggest that we just need the summary pages.
That's what I asked for, but we got more.
Oh, my gosh,
Yeah.
this was intimidating. to
Right, I think that we usually have the full report to the city engineer and to me for, the record. But yeah, you folks, I mean, all you need is there an increase? Is there
needed to be an
not?
engineer, you'd
You don't need,
No,
you need the
and-
summary.
Yes, we read the summary and then
Right.
we depend on Tyler
Yes.
to tell us. So I think if we could ask them, not just a
Oh,
short.
you ask her, just ask her not to do it.
Oh,
No,
just-
no, the applicant
this,
provided
she
it.
said tonight.
With their paper, they do it.
I know, yeah, I told, they don't need to, but they did, so you got
Okay.
it.
All right, well, we're all on the same page anyway,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Good. Ben?
No
Ben.
problem. So, my wife got accepted into Eastern Maine Medical Center for family medicine residency, so in Bangor. So in the next few months, I'll be looking at property and looking to close. My goal is to move sometime roughly in the month of June, but that's all in flux. Depends how much longer I want to travel and if my realtor can close the deal. So,
Have you found someplace?
found something, but it's not quite what I want, and it's been on the market for 6 months, so I'll test my luck.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know, and congrats to your wife.
Thank
Yes,
you.
absolutely.
I appreciate you. So,
basically.
I'll miss you
same
guys.
point. Same point, you don't need to be replaced until it actually happens on that
Yes,
stuff.
yep.
And
I'll keep you
the mayor
apprised.
doesn't need to be looking at the point, but they just need to be aware. If you know of anybody on that stuff, please go. And we're not letting Mandy go, so.
I know.
So Ben, it has been an honor having you on the
Well, I
board
had a
and
question.
stuff
I
like
still
that.
own property.
It is.
You do technically. You do technically.
Yeah.
Kathy, what did you say earlier?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, all in favor? All right, have a good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.